Imagine standing on a stage with bright lights blinding your vision, voices in the crowd whispering doubts, and even your own mind joining the chorus. What will it take to keep walking forward, chin high and heart steady? Confidence. Real, grounded, unwavering confidence isn't born in comfort. It's forged in doubt, isolation, criticism, and the painful silence of being underestimated. Today on Serenity Soul Speaks, we're diving deep into the psychology of self-confidence, especially when the world, and sometimes even you, doesn't believe in your own worth. And to guide this discussion, we're reflecting on the bold and unfiltered journey of Reginae Carter, media personality, actress, and daughter of hip-hop legend Lil Wayne. Her story, marked by both privilege and pressure, reveals key insights into how we can all rise above the noise and truly believe in ourselves. Confidence is often misunderstood as arrogance or ego. In truth, it's about secure self-assurance in your identity, values, and worth, regardless of external validation. But self-doubt doesn't appear out of nowhere. It often begins in childhood, shaped by environments where our strengths were overlooked or where comparison replaced affirmation. Reginae Carter, despite growing up in fame, wasn't immune to this. As the daughter of an icon, she was constantly scrutinized. Many people attribute her success to nepotism while overlooking her individuality. That kind of external invalidation, when internalized, breeds what psychologists call imposter syndrome, a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud. Reginae could have crumbled under that pressure, but instead, she began cultivating authentic confidence rooted not in approval but in purpose. Living in the shadow of greatness can be as suffocating as it is inspiring. Reginae Carter had to navigate the immense expectations tied to her father's legacy. In psychology, this dynamic creates what's known as achievement anxiety, the fear that no matter how hard you try, it will never be enough. It's paralyzing, especially for young people growing into their own identities. Reginae, however, began carving her own lane. Whether it was through acting, public speaking, or business ventures, she gradually shifted from being Lil Wayne's daughter to being Reginae. That transition wasn't easy. It required emotional resilience, self-awareness, and boundary setting. Each of those traits is essential to mastering confidence when others label you before knowing you. Confidence is less about knowing you'll succeed and more about trusting that you'll survive even if you fail. Reginae has spoken publicly about moments where people, including close friends or the media, doubted her value, mocked her relationships, or tried to minimize her voice. But here's where the shift happened. She started listening to herself more than others. In psychological terms, this is called internal locus of control. It means believing that you have power over your outcomes rather than feeling like life is just happening to you. Reginae began trusting her decisions more, advocating for herself, and distancing from toxic relationships that fed insecurity. Confidence is a muscle, and every time you choose your peace over their perception, that muscle grows. In the age of social media, many of us, consciously or unconsciously, link our self-worth to likes, shares, or comments. Reginae has dealt with public criticism over everything from her fashion choices to her relationships. Yet, she learned an important lesson. Confidence and validation are not the same. Confidence is internal. Validation is external. Seeking validation can become an addiction, feeding the ego but starving the soul. Reginae began reclaiming her narrative by choosing authenticity over performance. She reminded young women that you don't need to prove yourself to people who have already made up their minds. This is an act of radical self-love, a core component of emotional confidence. Confidence doesn't mean you never get knocked down. It means you know how to get back up. Reginae has been vocal about experiencing heartbreak, betrayal, and public humiliation, but she uses these moments as fuel rather than failure. Psychologists define this mindset as resilient self-efficiency, the belief that even after setbacks, you can rebuild, rise, and reimagine your life. That's the heart of confidence, not perfection, but persistence. The more you survive tough moments, the more confident you become in your own strength. You stop letting people's doubt become your destiny. So, how do we build that kind of unshakable confidence? First is self-talk audit. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself. Replace "I'm not good enough" with "I'm still growing and that's okay." Reginae models this when she claps back with grace, not just to critics, but to her own moments of self-doubt. Second is environment cleanse. Who do you surround yourself with? Confidence is contagious, but so is insecurity. Reginae has learned to keep her circle tight, choosing friends who uplift and hold her accountable without belittling. The third way to build your confidence is through purpose over perception. Ask yourself, what do I want to feel at the end of the day? Not what do I want them to think. Reginae's shift toward authentic content and business decisions came from asking this question often. The fourth way to build confidence is through mind-body connection. Engage in practices that ground your body and mind, whether that's journaling, yoga, therapy, and prayer. Confidence doesn't start in your outfit, it starts in your nervous system. Reginae Carter isn't just a celebrity, she's a mirror, a reflection of the battles we all face when trying to find our voice in a noisy world. Her transparency is her power, and by walking in her truth, she reminds us that we don't need everyone to believe in us. We just need to believe in ourselves, enough to take one more step, speak one more truth, and love ourselves one more time. Confidence isn't about being loud, it's about being clear, about who you are, what you deserve, and where you're headed. If you ever felt unseen, unworthy, or underestimated, I want you to know, confidence is not about being perfect. It's about being present in your truth, present in your healing, present in your power. Like Reginae, you have the right to take up space, to speak boldly, to grow loudly, and even when others doubt you, your belief in yourself is the ultimate rebellion and the greatest act of liberation. Thank you for joining today's episode of Serenity Soul Speaks on the Serenity Soulful Solace channel. If this message resonated with your spirit, share it with someone who needs the reminder. And remember, confidence isn't built in a day, but every day you get to choose to build it. One breath, one boundary, one belief at a time. Until next time, take care of your soul.